Okay, Everyone's video on Saturday, the 10th of May, 2025, just gone 5:44 p.m. Chicago time. Do hope you are doing well. So it's the weekend, time for another weekend futures market recap. I'll go through 15 of the largest futures markets and I'll show you what I'm seeing on my charts. Do hope you had a good week's trading. For me, super quiet, not a lot going on at all, not a lot of volume, not a lot of range. I think we're gearing up for something big, but it didn't happen this week. I thought with the Fed announcement we'd get that sell-off, but it didn't happen. So we've still got a little bit of time to run on the cyclical patterns, and I'll show you that as we go through the time frames. But maybe it'll be the CPI number this week on Tuesday that'll set the market ablaze. But in the meantime, I think the likelihood is that we go up a little bit before we end up heading down. So let's go through the charts, the Emini charts first, and then we'll do the tip bar charts with the other futures markets. And here's trusty beta volume indicator, been part of the toolbox for a long time. And I was talking about this last weekend, saying the pattern that I like the most is the red, white, and blue pattern, where the churn bar is super important, these blue ones here. And a churn bar is when we have relatively high volume with relatively low range. And sometimes we get nice turns where we have exhaustion buy into a churn bar and then exhaustion sell. The bars don't have to be sequential, and we can have a little bit of time between the red, white, and blue bars. But last weekend we had a churn bar at those highs, marking an important point, but it was the wrong way round. We had exhaustion sell, then churn, and then exhaustion buy. We need it to be exhaustion buy, churn, and then exhaustion sell. So suppose this week, that's what I'm expecting, we'll have one of those white bars down, exhaustion sell, getting the move going on the downside and finish off this pattern, pull back to end of trend on daily chart. Range this week, super low ranges. We had two low range bars here. So this is yellow bars, and this is a range indicator that I use, just splitting up the ranges of the day into three buckets, high, medium, and low. And you can see we had these incredibly high ranges down here at the lows with 400, 500 points. And then we've gone through a little range compression activity this week, and the professionals need these high range bars in order to get active, and it's usually the low range bars when the amateurs are active here. So turning points often have this pattern where we have low range bars at the highs and high range bars at the lows. So we've got some low range bars with this week's activity. Let's go to the daily chart of the E-mini. General thought here is that we're in an uptrend, because last time we reached the highs with amateur up bars, Rambo patterns, amateur activity at the highs. If the bull trend was over, we would have blue professional bars at the highs taking profits, but we got the reverse. We've got blue professional bars at the lows, picking it up here. We'd had our exhaustion sell, bullish divergence right on the zero line, so we'd probably expect a flush pattern. We're underneath this trailing stop here, and I think we're going to make one move down. Yes, we've had a support on the highest time frame come in here, but we've got a pullback to end of trend to make on the lowest time frame, and we've poked above that. You can see here, usually when we have an overshoot like this, we have to wait for the cyclical turn on the next highest time frame to come in and cap that move, and then we head down. And that intermediate time frame here, you can see these lines, they're parallel, which means on that time frame we're actually trending. So these need to come up to plus 100 cross and mark that local high, but then the energy will all be to the downside on those two time frames, the low and the intermediate time frame. But they're quite a long ways from crossing. So maybe that could accelerate in the next day or two, and they'll come up based on the activity and we get that cross, but it's not happened yet. So that's why we're limbo at the moment. I think there might be a trade to the upside to be made, but don't forget that the energy still has to play out on the downside. 135-minute bar. So here we go on the momentum patterns here. We've got nothing going on. We're just fussing around the zero line on momentum here. We don't have exhaustion sell at these lows. We're capped underneath this trailing stop. The last time we had exhaustion sell was getting the move going, and so we've got to go see that to round out this pattern. Here on the cyclical patterns, we're above resistance on the low and the intermediate time frame, and this is so we're putting a little pullback support in an uptrend here. That's quite important there. So that's probably got to play itself out to the upside. And then these lines will come to 100 cross and head down on that 135-minute chart. 45-minute chart, it's in an uptrend at the moment. We had blue professional bars at the lows, but we didn't have exhaustion sell down here, and we've got no blue professional bars at the highs to trail the stop up. So I think we could have a little pulse to the upside. Blue professional bars come in, take profits, and then we head down after that. We've still got this energy to play out on the downside. Here you've got this cyclical resistance coming in here, little push down. And as we go through the lower time frames, you'll start to see the levels that are important. So 55.32, super important level here on the 15-minute chart. Here you can see we've got bearish divergence, flush patterns, exhaustion sell, bullish divergence on the zero line here. But we've not broken down at that point, and we've got that pullback in an uptrend level come in here. So are we going to have a little pulse to the upside that'll then finish with a pullback to end of trend on that time frame? Maybe some blue professional up bars into that move, maybe an exhaustion pattern there, and then we'll come down from there. But that's possible. And is that going to be driven by Tuesday's release? We'll have to wait and see. 13,500 tip bar chart. Okay, so here we go. Here we've got a little bit more happening with these charts. Let me just turn this one off at the moment. So this is better squeeze that we've got. So this week's activity started with the vertical solid yellow line, ended with this line here. We had blue professional bars at the highs, super high average trade size on Friday and Monday, and then we headed to the downside, exhaustion sell down here. Bullish divergence. We couldn't crack through 5600. That's a super important level. We had flush, another exhaustion sell pattern down here. No blue professional bars. The trailing stop is there, 5620. So it's possible that we're going to go for a little run to the upside, break back up through these highs, and then put in blue professional bars at those highs, exhaustion buy, and then come down from there. But let's see if we get a move up followed by a strong move down. And the levels to watch, 5620, 5600, absolutely key. So that's what I'll be looking for on the E-mini this week. Hope that's helpful to you. So now let's go through the tip bar charts for all of the signals that we got this week. And on these charts, I'll keep on the better squeeze indicator because it shows us good entry points. So Euro chart first. This week's activity, we found a little bit of a low early in the week, but then blue professional bars taking profits at the highs, super high average trade size. We got our break, signal down, and we dropped from about 14 down to 12 and a bit down here at the lows, and then the blue professional bars coming in again, exhaustion sell, super high average trade size, big pros, bullish divergence, and we got our signal confirmation there, and more blue professional bars coming in here. A little bit of weakness at the moment, but we need to break up back up through 13.20 in order to show that we're in an uptrend on the euro. British pound not doing much this week. We had an interest rate announcement from Bank of England, and we just topped out at 34 and a bit. Couldn't get through that. So last time 2 weeks ago, big pro bars up here at the highs. Then we got our exhaustion buy, bearish divergence flush patterns here, sold off. We moved back up this week, and we get everything come together. So we get blue professional bars at the highs. We got exhaustion buy, the background's in blue showing super high average trade size, and then we sell off there. We got a little signal here, but really the blue professional bars didn't come in on the lows down here and down here. So British pound's actually in a downtrend at the moment. Aussie dollar fussed around a little bit, not a classic up here with exhaustion buy, but blue professional bars taking profits here. Then we get our signal, and it's in a downtrend. Background's in grey. No blue professional bars yet at the lows. So Aussie dollar is in a downtrend. Japanese yen, that's looking interesting. So the end of the week here, exhaustion sell, bullish divergence, professionals step in, we get a signal, and then we get super high average trade size here. So weakened a little bit through there, but we need to get through 69.40, that level, to show that we're actually in an uptrend in Japanese yen. Background's in red, so that's interesting for this week. And 10 years. So 10 years, 2 weeks ago, topped out. All of these big pro bars come in here with the background in blue. Exhaustion buy, bearish divergence flush up here. Professionals taking profits with the blue boxes up here at the highs. Exhaustion sell, getting the move going. We get a signal short, and then we head to the downside. Then this week, beautiful stair-step trade. No blue professional bars on the way down. We have a retracement. The professionals step in here. We stair-step. There's a trailing stop down. Bang, beautiful trade to the downside. Now we've got exhaustion sell down here. Some blue professional bars coming in at the lows, but not a lot yet. So that was a nice signal on 10 years. Gold. So gold this week, we bottomed at the end of last week. That was a nice signal here. Exhaustion sell, bullish divergence, blue professional bars at the lows. We head to the upside. They take profits up here at 34.40. And we set off to the downside, but not a lot of blue professional bars coming in here, and not a lot on the downside here. We didn't have exhaustion buy at those highs. The exhaustion sells have come in here. So let's see if we come back down, test into that 3,300 level here, and then get through the trailing stop to get us up into another trend in gold and silver. So here we had professionals taking profits, 33.40 up here. We had a signal short. This one was late in the game. We didn't have a lot of blue professional bars at the lows there, and we've got blue professional bars come in there. A little bit no man's land. Not sure about silver at that point, but Bitcoin, whoa, Bitcoin's had a good month. Caught down here, took off to the upside, exhaustion buy, blue professional bars, and on the stair step, the professionals step in there. That's good, and they're starting to take profits at these highs. We had a little signal short here a couple of weeks ago, but that didn't work out. There were no blue professional bars right at the highs, but this one we have started to see them here, 102, 103, Rambo patterns, so it's a little bit weak into that move, but we got back above 100, so that's super important for Bitcoin there. So that's been a nice move. And I'll show you the Ethereum chart as well, because Ethereum took off. We had a beautiful signal a month ago here at 1500, 1600 down here, and that was based on the blue professional bars that came in into this move down here. Super high average trade size here below 1600. Exhaustion sell, bullish divergence. We have a little trap move there. Just push past that trailing stop on Better Pro-Am, and then we get our signal, and it's up, up and away. 3 weeks ago we had exhaustion buy getting us going through 1700, and then we busted up, and now it's at almost 2600. Ethereum has been a little bit of a laggard in the last 6 months or so compared to Bitcoin, but not with this last move. This has outstripped even the move that we had in Bitcoin, which is interesting. Crude this week spiked down, gapped down at the beginning of the week, and coming back up. With the exhaustion buy, almost getting the move going through 60. So that's interesting. Background's in red. So let's see if crude continues higher through that. They were definitely getting interested on the way down here. Big pro bars here. It wasn't absolutely at the low that they were coming in here, but the background's in red, so technically we're in an uptrend there on crude. So let's see if that continues to strengthen. Natural gas had a nice signal midway through this week. Exhaustion sell, bullish divergence, big pro bars come in here. We get a little bit of a squeeze. We bust out of that with a signal long, which is nice, and so we're still in an uptrend. On natural gas, we haven't taken profits with blue professional bars at the absolute highs there on natural gas. And copper. Copper's looking good. So exhaustion sell, bullish divergence, and we come back down again for more exhaustion sell. Big pro bars coming in here at the lows at 450. We've set off to the upside. That's exhaustion buying, getting the move going. So copper's in an uptrend. And corn. Corn sold off. Here was our signal down here a month ago. Down, down, down. This move didn't catch. We broke through those lows, kept on going down. Now more blue professional bars, big pro bars coming in here at the lows. So that's looking interesting. Exhaustion sell, flush patterns and so on. Got a signal long here above 448. And so let's see if that continues to break up through that recent high on corn this week. Soybeans, the other way around. Topped out with exhaustion buy, bearish divergence. A nice stair-step trade here with blue professional bars coming on the retrace. We've come down. No blue professional bars at the lows down here. They're getting in back here. Rambo patterns, that's weak. I wouldn't trust that trending move. So let's see if that comes down. And wheat, all over the show. So 2 weeks ago, broke into an uptrend here after exhaustion, sell, bullish divergence, flush with Rambo patterns. But then they took profits here at 544. We've come back down, had a signal. We're weak. Blue professional bars on the retrace and not on the way down here. So we're in a downtrend on wheat. So there we go. Quick rip through the charts. I think on the E-mini we might break to the upside briefly and then continue down. Still not convinced we're done on the downside because we've not seen those exhaustion sell patterns. But there's a little bit of timing to be finessed here because of these intermediate time frame lines coming together. They don't look close at the moment, so that's what I'll be looking for this week, for these bars to come closer together and then finally put in that turning point where we test back down, but at the moment refuses to break. So let us see what happens. That's it for me. I hope your trading goes well this week.